This is the video for card N18, Finding Equivalent Fractions. The objective of this lesson is to express fractions in their lowest terms and to find equivalent fractions. Here are a few examples for us to look at. The first example requires us to cancel down our fractions into their lowest terms. So, question 1, 12 over 24. As both numbers are even, it means that they can both be divided by the number 2. And so I'm going to divide them by the number 2 first of all. 12 divided by 2 will give me 6, and 24 divided by 2 will give me 12. I can now check this fraction, but both of these numbers are also even, and so I can divide by the number 2 again. 6 divided by 2 will give me 3, and 12 divided by 2 will give me 6. And so on both steps, we have divided top and bottom by the number 2. This fraction is still not in its lowest terms. However, the number 2 will now not work. So I need to see if there is a number that I can use instead. In this case, 3 and 6 are both in the 3 times table. And so I'm going to divide top and bottom by the number 3. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1, and 6 divided by 3 will give me 2. And so my final answer is a half. This has taken me 3 steps, and this doesn't have to be the case. You can look for a bigger number to divide by to make this a slower, faster process. If we look at question 2, we can do exactly the same again. Both numbers are even, and so both numbers will divide by the number 2. 8 divided by 2 will give me 4. 20 divided by 2 will give me 10. Again, both numbers are even, so I'm dividing by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. 2 over 5 have no numbers in common, and so this is my final answer. The last question needs a different number as a common factor, as 15 is an odd number and cannot be divided by 2. However, any number that has a 5 or a 0 on the end is in the 5 times table, and so I can this time divide top and bottom by 5 rather than 2. 15 divided by 5 will give me 3, and 20 divided by 5 will give me 4. 3 and 4 have no common factors, and so 3/4 is your final answer. We are now going to look at how to identify equivalent fractions. This requires us to change fractions into the same common denominator in order to check if they are the same as the fraction we are comparing to. In this case, we want to look at this list of numbers here and see if any of them are the same as 1/2. If I look at 8 over 16 first of all, can I cancel this down into a simpler format? Well, both 8 and 16 are in the same times table. They're in the 8 times table. So if I divide both top and bottom by 8, 8 divided by 8 will give me 1, and 16 divided by 8 will give me 2. 1/2 is my final answer, and so 8 over 16 is equivalent to 1/2. 1/3 does not cancel down any further, and so 1/3 is not equivalent to 1/2. 5 over 8 do not have a number in common either, and so 5 over 8 cannot be cancelled down, and so 5 over 8 is not equivalent to 1/2. 2 over 4 are both in the 2 times table, and so I can divide both the top and the bottom by the number 2. 2 divided by 2 will give me 1, and 4 divided by 2 will give me 2. Again, this gives me a half, and so this one is also an equivalent fraction. 3 over 8 do not have a common factor, and because they don't have a common factor, it cannot be cancelled down to a half. 3 over 4 also do not have common factors, and so 3 over 4 is not the same as a half. 9 over 18, we can find a common factor here, as 9 and 18 are both in the 9 times table. So if I divide top and bottom by the number 9, 9 divided by 9 is 1, 18 divided by 9 is 2. Again, this gives me a half, and this is equivalent to our original fraction. I now have 3 fractions that are equivalent to a half, but just so that we can check that we haven't gone wrong somewhere, if we look at the final fraction of 9 over 16, 9 and 16 do not have common factors, and so cannot be cancelled down to a half. Our final answers, therefore, are 8 over 16, 2 over 4, and 9 over 18. Okay, it's now your turn to have a go at some of these questions, so pause the video and then have a go at them yourselves. Here is a second question for you to try.